here at the house. We're gonna load this thing up, get this thing to the shop, and make grounds on it. Mike ended up being able to be free. It's Monday, so definitely getting a jump on the whole process. But we're gonna get it there, get it unloaded, get it on the lift, and then I'll catch y'all guys up as we start making some progress. What we're doing is Mike's he's gonna mark where that sensor is at. So that sensor that's in, we can't get tightened. It's the coolant head temperature sensor. It hits the mid plate. There's no real good way for me to really show y'all. I mean, I guess I could try to snake the phone down there, but there's no point, trust me. You can't get a socket on it. So we've got to cut the mid plate like this because it sticks up above the bell housing a little bit. And then I'm thinking we will spoon out like this, the edge of the bell housing, just as a precaution, because this is not one of them things where you cut a little, test fit it, and then go from there. If we didn't have the whole transmission on it and the bell housing was just there, or we had time to pull the bell housing off, we could. But everybody is verbally abusing me on my channel about getting this car running into the racetrack. So we're trying to cut this thing out enough that when we stick it in, it's done. There ain't no in and out, in and out, in and out. Like the bolts go through the bell housing like this, so we're gonna spoon out this side that goes against there just a little bit, just to guarantee that hopefully you can, with the firewall out, you can get a socket like this in there next time, and that we never have to do it. We're gonna try to go ahead and make sure we set up both sensors, or do best possible to set up both sensors that are right there, so we never have this issue again. So let's get this thing up on the lift, and then we'll get at it. All right, so Mike to the rescue, and I can go ahead and tell y'all I apologize for the fan noise. It is feels like 200 degrees here, but he went ahead and welded up. It's hot, man, like in here. He went ahead and welded a plate on his thing so we can literally just sit the transmission on it. So he just lowered, you're like pulling it over to the side.
That's all right.
Mike scares the mess out of me, y'all. He is so sketchy.
Look, it's not going nowhere,
Oh my God.
We're not going to the Baja with it.
So we're just gonna try to leave this heavy thing right here, because last time we about dropped it. And we're gonna get this mid plate out and then clearance it and then try to snake it back in.
That's what I'm marked. That's the top of the bell housing right there.
That right there is what needs to be cut.
That's the top of the bell housing. We're gonna take it all the way from here, all the way down to where we did it before.
Yeah.
And that's top about, that's the, you can probably see the mark right here if you look.
Yep. Yeah, you can.
Mark that too.
Yeah. And we might cut some of this out yet. We're gonna test it. So we're gonna get this out, make some cuts, and then get it back in and see if we're clear.
I'm calling the company and I'm through.
Yeah, if Mike drops this, it took like 6 months to get this bell housing. Like, I don't even really care about dropping the transmission. It's the bell housing of getting another one is what I care about. So to pull your mid plate, obviously you got to hold your motor up. So we've got some redneck engineering like we did last time. Put a board under there and sketchily support the motor. Take the mid plate out. Don't move anything without smashing your fingers. And Mike is the sketchiest person you'll ever meet, but he gets stuff done. I didn't put it crooked. I just stuck it in there. You were supposed to line it all up. All right, I mean, we got some pressure on it.
We're good.
All right, let's get these bolts out. I'm gonna try to show y'all how bad this sensor is. So there it is. You see right here. This is it. So look at how that thing is pointing back here, and you know, you have your mid plate here. So our mid plate was sticking like all the way up to here. I mean, this is stupid. So this is the coolant head temperature sensor on a Coyote. Like that. I mean, look how long that is to even get it out. So we're gonna try our best to make it so we don't have this issue again. All right, well, as always, there's some kind of delay. So we're about to take the old little red rocket, run up to O'Reilly's, and check out this sensor. So Mike's pretty sure, we watched a couple of YouTube videos, which are absolutely terrible, by the way, on coolant temperature sensors. But it looks like whenever they pulled the sensor out, that there's a little washer around the end of the sensor, and mine doesn't have it. I bought mine from the Ford dealership, and it did not come with no washer. So I guess they were assuming that I had the washer, which I don't, and I don't have the original one. I don't know where the original one went. So we're gonna run up to O'Reilly's and see if we can find the sensor that's supposed to be on this thing, because that would have sucked to put all this together, tighten everything up, and like, even if we could tighten it up and then still have a freaking leak because it's not done right. So I'm extremely paranoid about this thing leaking and having to go back here, because this sensor is probably the worst sensor in the worst location on the whole entire car. So we are thinking that, because I don't know, I don't even remember where the coolant temperature sensor was on this thing, but we're thinking this thing is called a, let me get to the light, a cylinder head temperature sensor, okay? Nowhere does it say a coolant temperature sensor. And there's one guy, when he pulled his out on that video, it looked like it had a washer on it, but the more I look at it, it looks like just that like bronze or brass color coating was like wore off and kind of like silverish, because he didn't have a washer on his, and when he put his new one in there, I watched him literally just stick this thing in there. So in Mike's video also, he's put his phone up in there right here and looked at it, and it looks like it's just empty. Like whenever he gets over to it, it looks like this just goes down right there into a an empty cylinder, or like an empty hole right there. See, there's no, like, I don't think no coolant runs through there. I think this thing measures the temperature of the head, like just the metal. So we're gonna have to literally gamble here, because I don't know. Can't find anything online at a quick search, and I just feel like that if this was supposed to have a washer, this is a Ford sensor from the Ford dealership, so I feel like they would have sent you a washer if this thing seals with a washer. I really feel like it's not supposed to have a washer on it. So hopefully we're right. Somebody's probably about to comment and either tell me I messed up big time, or somebody's about to comment and tell me I'm right, probably. But we're gonna stick this thing in there and pray. Somebody else said on their post that theirs was finger tight, but you can see now that's where it's at. So we just actually tightened it. What we did was we put the ratchet up there and pointed the ratchet up inside of the car, my cutout, and Mike actually tightened it with his hand through here. So he actually tightened it from the inside of the car as a test run. So you can take that inside and out from the inside of the car without the mid plate in. Now we're gonna clearance our mid plate and put it in there and check to see if, again, we can get the socket on and off with the mid plate in. We'll be able to get the socket on that just fine. He's already done it. Oh yeah, he's gonna show you real fast. Just like that. But I mean, of course your ratchet would be inside the car. So the
whole point is the socket fits.
Yeah, the socket fits. So we already know that we can tighten that thing up from inside the car. So it clears it just fine now. That mid plate is cut the same height as the edge of the bell housing. So Mike had marked the bell housing edge right here, and that's what he trimmed the mid plate down to on that side. So now we have enough clearance. So if you're doing one of these, you got to trim your mid plate to get them sensors.
And I made more room over here too.
Yeah, and he made some more room over there to cut that off. So we're throwing this mid plate back in, and we're rocking and rolling. We're gonna put this thing back in. So we got all that together, and Mike's about to lower the car back down. So we are making grounds, y'all, making grounds. Make sure that this thing don't hit nothing. Set her in there nice and easy. Slip her back in her house. Bolt her up. You're good, Mike. You got about 4 inches. Maybe 4 inches now. All right, let me get this thing in there. Combing through it, Mike's hitting the ball joints with the grease, because these things have never been greased since they were put together, because they're brand new. I mean, you just don't put grease and fluid in it until you get done changing the front of the vehicle 3 times, you know. So
we got one more time.
Oh, we got one more time. No, everybody's gonna kill me if I cut this front end out again. If I'm like, okay, we're cutting the front end off the Comet, everybody, I mean, I already got in trouble today with one of the comments. The guy said that, you know, I need to hurry up and get this thing done because, what was it? Oh, it's getting old.
Yeah, getting old.
So hopefully he was joking. He hasn't commented back yet, but who knows. But Mike welded in our limiters, our other sides. So if you remember, I had only welded in that side of the house. He went and burned them in, so that got marked off the checklist. Transmissions in, ball joints, greasing them are about to get marked off the checklist. And then we are going to check the engagement of our shift lever on the other side. So what you want to do, most of y'all know, but if you don't, then you want to go through all the gears on your shifter, and in each gear you want to pull off your lever on the side of your transmission right here. You want to pull that off and make sure that, you know, with your fingers, that this is not like between a gear. So you just want to make sure that on the shifter, every gear, you're in the actual correct gear down here. So we're going to check that, delete that off the list, and then get the starter in. And I think we're going to test the starter tomorrow, but we'll get the starter in and then keep coming down the list. All right, so see, that's the reason why you check your gears, because we were running through checking the gears and everything works fine, right, Mike, besides second and third?
Yep, second and third, there's so much slop on this shaft, this bracket. It literally, this moved, the arm moved, but the shaft didn't move.
You can see right there. So
it didn't go in the third.
This piece come with this kit, you know, and this kit, I don't even remember where I got this kit from. I mean, I don't remember what company it was, let's just say. So we're gonna have to modify that tomorrow. I'll grab the factory one and see if it's a tighter fit, and then we can cut this and weld, you know, that little square piece onto it.
Yeah, that's a lot of slop.
So that's why you check these things. So Mike saved the day. He's actually going to get the pizza. Of course, he's hauling tail to go get the pizza that just come in the door. But instead of cutting this piece all up, he wanted to show off, you know, as welders show off and get all fancy with it. And he laid a little bit of TIG up inside there. He TIG'd that to close that gap up. So as always, Fancy Mikey comes to save the day. So that thing is nice and tight now. We're gonna eat some pizza. He's gonna keep working on that. I'm hooking up the starter. I can go ahead and tell y'all that from working around Jason's headers so far, A plus, A freaking plus. It's not the easiest to work around, but there has been no cussing. Nothing has pissed me off. You know, it's been relatively easy. Mike was able to hit the starter bolt up top. You can't hardly see it, but starter bolt up top and starter bolt on the bottom down there from the front. And then the only thing you got to do from right here at the side is you have to hit that guy right there from the side. But look at this, you can stick your whole hand up in here, and then once you are up in there, you've got tons of room to move all around and everything. So no complaints so far on the first night. Oops, dropping everything. On the first night of working around Jason's headers. So I'm about to run the ground wire up in there. I just stuck it on, so we're gonna get that tightened down, and I'm gonna have to nut cert this thing right here so it don't wiggle around. Get the trigger wire on. The cool thing about the trigger wire is you can see it right here, that bolt, so you can get right here, but then you can actually, your hand, as you can see right there, you can get your hand up here, so you can touch that to help like hold your socket on right there from the other side of the headers. So Jason, I'm telling you, he's just an absolute monster. I don't know how much of this was planned and how much of this was pure luck, but so far no complaints. And you're not getting the starter out through there. Like I said, you're gonna have to undo that primary to get the starter out, but at least you can unhook it. You can scoot it back if you have to pull the transmission out and everything. You don't have to take your primaries out to pull the transmission out. It sucks that you got to take the collectors off. We think that we can fight the collectors. They're really, like he said, you really need to loosen all the bolts up to get your collectors on and off. But then me and Mike think, we're not 100% sure, but we think that if we loosen the bolts up there, that since it's like a header gasket maker, it's not an actual gasket, we would have to reapply that stuff, meaning I would think you'd have to pull your primaries out and then scrape all that stuff off and put new ones on. So we are really trying our best to avoid that. But we tested that side when we first took it off, and we can get that back on with a little bit of screwdriver, a little bit of, you know, twisting them and pulling them. This side was a whole lot tighter, but we're gonna try our best to not touch them bolts up there and get these collectors back on. So we're about to eat some pizza and then keep on getting at it. All right, so we're coming through the to-do list. I have all of the me sit this down. All of the wires hooked up. All the wires hooked up for the starter, so everything's tucked up there nice and neat. And what I'm gonna do is I need to grab a P-clamp and some nut certs from the house, and we'll nut cert this up like that. That way it's out of the way of the headers with plenty of room. So we'll get that tomorrow. I changed my wiring because I wasn't happy. I had it ran down through here like an idiot. So I've done a couple stupid things on here, but Mike's in the process of building the engine limiter, the motor limiter, whatever you want to call it. What is it, Mike? A motor and engine?
It's an engine. Motor's electric.
So this is a kit I bought from Chassis Engineering, and Mike is throwing it away. So he
Not completely throwing it away. I'm using part of it.
He's switching it up to where it goes back here. You can kind of see, you can see where he was back there. And he's taking aluminum square tubing. That's what we got laying around. And then we are gonna cut this end off and put some plug welds in that, put this in, that way this is still adjustable on the end, because on the end of this you have a little heim joint that goes in there that screws in and out. That way you still got some adjustment on it. So he's coming through that. We have decided, it's 10 o'clock already, we have decided to stay up front for the night and not jump into the back. And I'm about to start the skis, the oil pan savers, and hopefully we can get them done before 11 o'clock. If we can get the skis done and the motor, or the engine limiter before 11 o'clock, I think we'd be sitting pretty good, because we have accomplished a lot tonight. And then tomorrow night we'll be moving to the back. All right, so we're calling it a night. Mike figured out the limiter. That's basically how it's gonna be. It's gonna bolt to the block on that end, and then we're gonna utilize everything on this end. So it was just the way that the kit was built for my application, it just don't work that great. The skis, this is what we got. So if you've looked up oil pan savers for like the Mustangs, you probably think this looks pretty familiar. It's just the way theirs go in is a lot different from the way ours is going to go in. So we'll put flat plates on the end of these. This side already has nut certs in it from the factory that we'll probably go ahead and utilize. We might put one more here, but we'll probably through bolt this side with some 90-degree angle iron. I'll show you when we get there, but this is basically how it's going to go. So it'll go like that. That way these things hang down pretty low. We're gonna have to check it. The final, let's see here. So you can see right there, that's pretty spot on where it needs to be at. You know, and that way these will hit before anything under here hits if this thing's wheelies. So we don't want to tear all this stuff up. So we're gonna wrap it up, call it a night. It's 11 o'clock, and we'll get back on it tomorrow afternoon.